Thus, if the flagellation must be deciphered as a riddle, it's primarily because Piero speaks to an erudite viewer, philosophical, curious, a decipherer of puzzles. But the richness of the picture also comes from what has been engendered from measurements, calculations, and reasonings of a new type. From this development of mathematics during the Renaissance was born modern calculus. Today, it's possible to confront Piero's picture with tools born from this same logic. Transferred to computer, the legible measures in the painting recompose a virtual universe in 3 dimensions, similar in all points to the one the painter had imagined. The rotation effected by Piero, the choice of vanishing point, the positions of objects and people, the elevation of buildings, all were exact and reasonable beyond the construction of the picture. Rather than paint imaginary stones like most of the painters of his day, he selected specific materials. The red pavement in the flagellation is undoubtedly Italian marble. The green marble in the background panel and Christ's circle is verde antico, the Tuscan serpentine that Florentines used in their great churches. The black bars are black marble from the Alps, which also is frequently used in Tuscan architecture, as is the somber marble with blood red and yellow veins. Finally, the white marble in the painting is the legendary marble from the Apuan Alps, whose enormous deposits, still abundant today, were considered by the Florentines to be a gift from God. These architectural clues imply that Piero not only created a realistic setting, but that he also considered the spatial organization of the city around Pilate's tribunal. The flagellation of Christ rises from the same spiritual state as the ideal city, the great wooden panel long attributed to Piero. In this panel, housed at Urbino, architecture is treated symbolically. The symmetry and harmony of the whole, the scholarly design of the pavements, the deep perspectives, the regular juxtaposition of masses, translate the will of the Renaissance mathematician to master space. If the flagellation had been no more than a strict application of mathematical principles, it would resemble an architectural plan. In this painting, Piero placed forms and textures that opposed strictness of alignment, Materials whose folds sculpted by light formed systems of curves and arabesques. Foliage in apparent disorder. Roof tiles irregularly fashioned. Fluid cloud forms. Finally, even in the hardness of the marble surfaces, the painter inserted the element of chance, milky traces of Italian marble, white forms of the serpentine, bloody streaks of red marble. To solve the political meaning of the painting overshadowed the fact that in Piero's day, scholars who studied the flagellation must have found in it many other theological implications. The round stone reminds viewers that Christ was at the center of the world. The column itself is a symbol of the world's axis. The halo around Christ's face, the sacred light that comes to illuminate the scene, is witness to Christ's divinity. This same light makes the nails of the door shine, an allusion to the nails of his impending crucifixion. And the elements of the setting recall and announce the Savior's story. If the scene of the painting can be dated the 25th of March, this is the same date as the Annunciation, exactly 9 months before the birth of Christ. Thus, the flagellation has much in common with the Annunciation of Arezzo. The spatial placement, the mosaic on the back wall. Unlike most painters, Piero was careful to show that Christ had not yet been touched. Each torturer has an arm raised, but the flagellation has not yet occurred. It's as if something has had the power to suspend the drama for a moment. Is it the gesture of the man in the turban? Or that of the man in the foreground? The two scenes in the painting are linked by the force of evidence that carries the viewer along beyond theology and into the suspension of an infinitesimal moment. But the Christian mystique, if it serves as the bottom-line narrative of the painting, is not the painting's only component. Perhaps the bell-less campanile stands witness to a certain anguish. In Piero's day, there were certain scholars who dared to imagine a world without Christianity, a story with settings and people, a manifesto of a new science. The flagellation of Christ also is a philosophical meditation. At the core of Piero's philosophy is first the conception of man according to Vitruvius. The body of man is in harmony with the rest of the universe and serves as a measure for all architecture. The relationship between man and the column, or between man and the tree, is constant in Piero's work. However, at the heart of this harmonious world, where nature gives the measure of man and